Hey, my name is Ryan with Yushu, and today I'm doing another boot comparison. This one's inspired by workwear. Now, if you live here in the United States, you know that none of these boots actually belong on a job site, but they're inspired by workwear. And maybe, I don't know, we like workwear. Maybe we cosplay as workers, but we like these styles of boots, so I'm going to review them. We have everything from under $200 Dievier boots or Dievier all the way to the most controversial boots and boot brand that I have ever reviewed, the Luosjiet stitchdown service boot. I've had a lot of comments about this. You guys hate this boot. You hate how much I paid for it. There's a lot of controversy about the company, and my personal opinion has changed about this company. I haven't released a lot of videos on them, so we'll talk about that when we talk about the Luosjiet. And then we have Truman's in the middle and Wolverine 1000 Mile. So thank you so much for watching this video. We'll go over them one by one to see what you get for your hard-earned cash, and then you will be better educated for your next workwear inspired boot. Thank you so much for watching. Let's get this going. The first brand we're going to talk about is Dievier or Dievier. I think the owners say Dievier, and I might be butchering that, so I'm so sorry, but it's kind of easier to say Dievier. That's what we see when we see that name. So let's talk about this brand. And a caveat to this brand is that they actually do make a steel or a composite toe version of this boot that would work on most job sites. So mine isn't. Mine is just the soft toe Heritage Nomad and the oiled dusk leather, but you can get these in a true workwear boot. So that's pretty cool. Now, I also have the caveat when it comes to Dievier is they send me these boots for free. So they gave me these boots to review. I've already reviewed them. That didn't change how I felt about the boots. They didn't care about what I said, but they also did give me an affiliate link to their whole boot collection. So again, this is something that helps me out as a boot YouTuber. I have to pay for everything. Gear keeps falling apart. That's not your issue. It's my issue. But if you go down, you click on the link and you buy a pair, I get a teeny bit of money that helps me to invest back into this channel, to invest back into more styles of boots, more brands of boots, and different things that hopefully you find entertaining. So if you're already going to buy these boots, just click on the link. Helps me out a little bit. I really appreciate when you do. But this boot is a really special boot because of the value that you get with it. My knowledge of this is that this is the only boot that you can get a wedge sole with a veg tan leather midsole, veg tan welt, and a veg tanned insole or lasting board. I mean, that is a lot of leather under your foot. That is a true heritage style boot, and it's just great for if you want a boot that's going to last a lifetime. My biggest negative to this brand is going to be this foam wedge sole that it's built on. While it's unbelievably comfortable, I do think it's going to wear fairly quick. I don't see how it could last as long as a Vibram Christie, but the future Ryan here, sorry about that, but this is false information. I was browsing YouTube and I opened up the Happiness Carpenter's update on these almost exact same boots, and I was blown away with how well the wedge sole is holding up. He says it's just as good basically as your name brand wedge sole. So I take this back about the wedge sole that comes on the Dievier boots. It's a great sole and just makes it a better deal. Back to the originally scheduled program. So an amazing boot. This boot is different though in most of the boots I like because it has that, cushy wedge sole, and it also has a cushy foam insole. If I were to do it again with this boot, I would actually size down even more so that I could take that insole out, the foam insole, and just rock the leather insole. But it's too late now. This is the boot I have. It fits with that foam insole, but it's just like a little bit too squishy. I mean, these feel like the most comfortable pair of sneakers that I own. Now, I like comfort in this sense of building or breaking in a leather insole that just it's hard, but it's contoured to your foot. That's the true comfort to me. This is more, false comfort, just a lot of foam, a lot of squishy stuff. That's okay. A lot of people like that. And it's a great entry into the heritage boot segment to get all that squishy stuff with this boot. And it's just a great looking boot. The boot is a little bit wider, and they do have thinner boots. If you want to know about the different styles that they have, go check out my review of this, my best value boot review. I go into the different styles they have, but a great brand, great boot, a true heritage boot through and through. $180 is unbelievably cheap, and I don't think you will regret getting this boot. And this boot, out of all the boots I talk about, is going to be the best value for the dollar. So this is the best value boot. I think it's an amazing boot. It's a great leather, great oily pull-up leather, and you just can't go wrong. But let's go to the next boot. The next boot is again another company that makes true workwear that you can take on a job site. When I used to work in construction, I used to own Wolverine cemented construction site safety toe boots, but with the 1,000 mile line, you don't get that. This is simply to look cool, to look heritage, and this boot is expensive. So normally this boot right here goes for around $400, but it's hard. They're kind of like Allen Edmonds to me. I don't look at their listing price. I look at what I can get it for, and I can get this boot for a lot cheaper on the used market, or just waiting for a sale, or just signing up for Wolverine's newsletter and you get 15% off. So I don't see it as a true $400 boot. I don't think it's worth $400 to be truthful, but if you can get it on sale, this is an amazing boot. And where this one really excels is in the leather. So most 1,000 mile boots are going to be chrome excel leather from the Horween Tannery in Chicago. This is one of the most famous tanneries in the world, so you're getting one of the most famous leathers in the world. But it's not just about name with Horween Chrome Excel. I really feel that it is an amazingly comfortable leather that forms to your foot, unlike any other leather. It's easy to break in. If your foot is wide and you can't get a wide width boots, you can go through an intense break-in and it will stretch at your toe. It will stretch at your pinky toe. So you're getting just an awesome leather with this boot. You're also getting a made in America boot. I forgot to mention with the Dievier or the Dievier, it's made in Mexico, in Leon. It's owned by Americans, but it's made in Mexico. This is a American through and through boot. Now, its biggest downside, the Wolverine 1,000 Miles biggest downside, is that the lasting board that it's made off of is a fiber board. Now, I'm not going to go into this too much, and this is the only boot that's built like this, but basically, instead of having a leather lasting board, even like the $180 Dievier boot, this has a fiberboard lasting board. So I don't know how long it will last compared to leather, but you're just not going to get the true broken in aspect to that insole that you would get with other boots. In my review, I said you can slap in a leather insole to conform to your feet, but just heads up, it doesn't come with that. So this boot, it's going to be a beautiful boot. It's a gorgeous boot. It's a versatile boot. You can take this on a job site. Now I don't do any real work on a job site, but I do have to traverse a job site once in a while. So I have taken this boot and it fits right in, but you still get that super cool heritage look. So Wolverine, a lot to be said about Wolverine. So I'm not going to say it. There's a lot of reviews if you want to see that. Great boot, not quite with $400, but it is a solid choice. Let's go to the next boot. Truman boots. This boot is a tank. Now, Truman, you're stepping up in price to around $480 for this exact makeup. This is the Reverse Tobacco leather, and it's a Horween tan leather, so you're getting made in America. The leather's tanned in America, so it's an American through and through boot, so it's going to be expensive. There's no doubt about that. But as in comparison to the 1,000 mile boot, now you just have a ton of leather, a ton of high quality materials. Really, when you look at a Truman boot, it's almost like they thought, let's just put in the best materials we can for the boot, and that's why you're getting that price. So you have a veg tan leather midsole, a veg tan heel stack, a veg tan insole, veg tan well, a nice leather sock liner on top of that veg tan insole, cork fill. I mean, it's just a beefy boot. And what's nice about Truman in this last especially is that it can be found on a job site. Now, my particular boot is a unstructured toe. That's not going to fit on a job site as much, but their cap toe version or any of their cap toes, it will fit in on a job site. And this you're getting a semi-gusseted tongue up to the fourth eyelet. With the Wolverines, it's the same. With the Dievier, it's the same. I didn't mention that, but they all have semi-gusseted tongues. But Truman is just a super sturdy, heavy boot built in America. It's worth the price, absolutely. But now you're getting a little bit higher finishing, you're getting better materials, but you also are stepping up in price. You're getting closer to the Pacific Northwest style of boot. Well, Truman is made in Eugene, Oregon, and it's owned by a American. Now, talking about who it's owned, if there's anything controversial about Truman, is when I did this review of the unboxing of this boot, man, I had a lot of negative feedback regarding the owner, Vince, of Truman. Now, I don't know if it's true. I trust my commenters and everything, but I haven't had any bad experiences with Truman. I think they've been great. I've had to send a pair back before and they took it. They said they were going to charge me $30 for a restocking fee, but they never did. They refunded my whole purchase price. So I haven't had any problems with them, but some people have. And there's also a question about where this company is going in the future. But for right now, at this moment, when this video is released, you can still get the heritage style Truman boots, and they are absolutely worth it, but you're going to be paying a lot of money. One other thing that's really great about Truman is they have a veg tan heel counter, so that's going to break into your foot. That's going to last a lot longer than a Scholastic. I'm not quite sure about, I think the Wolverine has a Scholastic and the Dievier or Dievier boot has a Scholastic. So again, everything in this is just beefed up and you pay for it. So great company, great boots. I hope they continue to make this style of boot and their heritage style. They don't just change into a fast fashion boot company. We'll see what happens, and I think you should check them out. But now let's move to my most controversial boot, and I'll tell you what my thoughts are on it. My Luosjiet double row stitch down boots in their German tanned nubuck rough out. This boot got a lot of controversy and it wasn't really viewed that well. And I just want to say one thing before I talk about the boot. There's controversy with the owner of Luosjiet. I'm not going to speak on that. I don't know anything about what's going on with the tweets or the posts, the social media posts. So we're not going to speak on that. We're just going to talk about the brand and what's controversial about it. And then I'm going to tell you what I really think of these boots. First, what has changed with my opinion about Luosjiet? Well, the main thing is they are just copies. They're copies of well-known boots. Matter of fact, I thought this was an original design until I was browsing eBay and I saw this exact design on a used pair of Viberg boots. Now you can't get that pair of Viberg boots anymore. Now their wedge sole have a Goodyear welt or at least a hand bolted boot, but they at one point they sold a boot that looked exactly like this. So it is a copy. Of course, their Indiana Jones boot is a copy. They make copies of original boots. That offends some of you deeply, and I'm sorry, but it doesn't really offend me that much because of one key detail. They do not print Viberg in here. They do not print Alden in their Alden. They say what they are. You cannot buy this and then resell it as an Alden and rip someone off, or a Viberg on this one. So it doesn't really bother me. They state who they are. The designs are copies, but they're not trying to rip it off saying it's a fake boot or like a Gucci purse or a Rolex watch, a Folex. They're not trying to make it look different. Even with Rolex, there's Submariner. It's a great watch. I have friends that have it, but they have also friends that have a watch that looks exactly the same. I'm not going to be able to tell it's not a Submariner unless I look at it closely. That's what this is. It's like a just an homage or copy to a really beautiful design. So that is what I've changed. I used to avoid saying they were copies. Now I'll easily say it. They're copies. It's an absolute copy. Of course, the Indiana Jones boot is kind of a dead ringer copy, but they're not selling it as an Alden. They're selling it as a cheap Chinese version. So that's it. But what do I think about this boots? Well, I finally broke these in. These took a lot to break in. Because with these, you have a thick veg tan midsole. You have the stitch down construction, a thick veg tan insole or lasting board, and another leather liner. It took forever. I had to compress these over and over because this heel, I thought when it slipped, but it was slipping like crazy, giving me a blister. Now it's because it wasn't bending when I walked. But once I broke that in, once I got that to actually bend, it really locked into my foot and it's been an amazing boot and I don't regret it at all. This is an amazing boot. I know you're going to hate me for saying this because this is $20 more than the Truman. This is a $500 boot, but I think it's absolutely worth the money. If Viberg made this boot, it would be worth $1,000. That's what Viberg is charging now. This at $500 is an extremely well-made boot. And besides just the quality, the stitching, the leather, the components, the actual shape of this boot to me is gorgeous. It has the most elegant shape of a boot that I have. And that's because it's kind of a knockoff of Viberg. And Viberg is the other boot that has a really elegant shape. And I just love this boot. Now, a lot of guys don't like wedge sole. A lot of guys don't like copies, so they hate this. They think it's garbage. I like wedge soles. I don't mind copies as long as they're not trying to say that there's something else. and I think this is an amazing boot. The stitch down is Viberg-esque. The materials that they put into it are really good. Now that it has conformed to my feet, I am super happy with this boot. And don't dislike this video. Just let me know what your opinion is on copies. And I know you hate them, but again, comments help. Keeping the chat alive helps with keeping this fresh and fun in the boot world. So my general opinion of each one of these boots is that they're all worth their money, kind of. The caveat being the $400 of a non-sale priced 1,000-mile boot. But the Dievier Davia boot is the best bang for your buck. It is a steal at this price. I don't think they'll last this long at this price, and especially if you get a composite toe and you have other designs and other leathers, I think this is an unbelievable deal to get that true heritage throughout footwear. The 1,000-mile, you know, it's got some great things, but it's just not worth the $400. But it's worth just a little bit less. I love the leather. It's probably my favorite leather, just of the regular old Chrome XL. And you can get these anywhere. You can get them on sale and you can get them on the used market. That's probably what you're going to want to do with this boot. Truman, awesome, super sturdy, feels like a tank. I don't need something built this well, but it feels great to have it. And my Luosjiet, as we just went over, I still think this is a really awesome boot. I'm into it. Sorry, but I think it's amazing. If they sold it for $400, it would be a little bit better, because I hear you out there saying, well, Grant Stone's $400. Well, this is better than any Grant Stone boot I've ever had, and I've had like 5 pairs of Grant Stone boots. So sorry, I'm gonna relax now. It's a good boot. Let's talk about sizing real quick. So I'm a 13D on the Brannock device, with the caveat that it could be a C. It's like a 13D/C. So in this, the brand told me to get 13. I would say for most people, just get 13. Get your true to size. For me, next time I would get this in a 12, and I would take out that insole, and I think I'd be a little bit happier. But just go with what their recommendation is. With the Wolverine, the recommendation is going to be 12.5. I go with 12 because it's got more room in the toe box, and I love it. Fits amazingly, fits like perfect for my foot. Now with the Truman boot, I have purchased a pair in 12, and then this is in 12.5. Now I got the 12.5 because it was an unstructured toe, fits great, but the 12 in a structured toe also works for me. Again, I like a snugger fit. Just take the half size from your Brannock. That's going to be the safer fit. Now with this, it's a 46. So 46.5 is kind of how my measurements show up on their websites, but I sized down even more, a full size to a 46, and this is perfect. It's one of the best fitting boots I have in 46. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know if you have any questions about any of these brands. Thank you in advance if you use the link and support the channel by buying these boots. I really think they're amazing boots. I'm not just saying that. And just let me know what you guys think. I really enjoy making this content for you. And please let me know if you have any ideas for future content, but I'll see you on the next one, and have a good one.